Tell me if you've been here. You get taken over by your work or your job, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a job you don't like. In fact, it can absolutely be a job that you love, but you get so devoted to it that the task presented might seem more important than, let's say, taking that lunch break or taking an hour to yourself. You keep thinking about the next thing that you will need to do and can even find your whole identity being tied to what you do and how good you do that thing versus who you just are as a person. Your sleep gets affected, your mood gets affected, you push yourself to the max, and then you fall hard. This is me. In today's video, I will share signs and symptoms that indicate that you're heading towards a burnout or that you're already in a one, as well as share some ways from my personal life that have helped me deal with stress and overall that have helped me lead a more balanced way. Although I should say that I am still learning. But before we get started, press that like button if you've ever felt like stress can completely take over your day and your well-being, and you want to find ways how to be more relaxed, more calm, and more happy. But now let's get into this video. There's a book called Career Burnout, and by the author definition, a burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by long-term involvement in emotionally demanding situations. I absolutely agree with this definition, because if we go back to what I said at the beginning of the video, you can get tired from a job that you absolutely love. It's not always that if you do something repeatedly, if you work at something and you get tired, it means that that's not your thing. I can just talk about this from a personal experience. You know, the whole reason why I decided to do a video on burnout is because I experience it a lot. There are obviously many symptoms that indicate that you're heading towards a burnout or that you're already in a one. And actually, when I was researching for this video, I found that there are even stages to a burnout. And I won't be talking about all of that in this video, but if you are interested in this subject, I am going to leave a link down below where you can read more about it. Almost all of the symptoms that I read about, I had, and it really shocked me. But I want to mention the most prominent ones in my case and how it has truly affected my life. The first one is headache and neck pain. I started getting this, I think about a couple of months ago, and it got very severe because I didn't understand where it's coming from. It wasn't only headache, it was kind of like this neck pain. And at first I was like, well, I must be just tense. So I started like doing different stretches. I even took some medication and nothing helped. It felt weird. I felt like, what's going on there? And I will get back to this. So just remember that I mentioned these headaches that couldn't go away. The second symptom that I experienced was neglect of personal needs. And this is something that I've always had in my life. If I get very thrown into something in my work or I'm creating something that I love, you know, lunch, food, sleep just disappears. And this is why I also mentioned this at the start of the video. If you're throwing out your personal needs, it is a sign. It can be a symptom that you're heading towards a burnout. And if you're like me, you're gonna hate what I'm about to say, but I have to say it. We're not robots, okay? I know. I have often been very sad about this because I would love to be a robot when I'm doing something that I love because I just want to get the job done and I don't want to think about all these human factors. But guess what? We are human. The third one, chronic stomach problems. In Chinese medicine, the stomach and its spirit organ, the spleen, is associated with the element of earth and anxiety and fears. Now, why did I mention Chinese medicine? You're like, what is this video about? Well, I'm a big lover of Chinese medicine. I've based a lot of things in my life according to Chinese medicine. I've dealt with stomach things my whole life, and that is because I've dealt with stress my whole life. And stress and stomach is a very connected thing. Once I find peace in my life and I'm peaceful, I have zero stomach problems. I can literally eat what I want. But once I'm stressed, once I'm fearful, once I have anxiety, it goes straight to my stomach. So that was my fourth big symptom, and that is a huge symptom in your life in general. If you're experiencing stress, a lot of stress and anxiety, it is very likely that you will also experience stomach problems because, again, as I said, they are very, very connected. Then the fourth symptom that kind of struck me when I read about it, social isolation. It's not that I don't need friends or don't need family. It's just that when I get into my work, I eliminate myself from the society. I feel like there's nothing more important than what I do. This kind of struck me as well, how I know that I have a tendency to completely socially isolate. The fifth one was escapist mentality. I read in this article that a very strong symptom of you having a burnout is that you constantly escape mentally, or you're picturing different scenarios in your head where you're able to escape or like drive away to a foreign country or be alone. I knew this about me for a long time and I never really thought about it, but once I read this, I realized that it is a symptom of a burnout because you're so tired mentally, physically, that you imagine these scenarios where you can run away or be alone or relax because you're not allowing that thing in your life. You're not allowing yourself to relax, so you're imagining scenarios where you can relax. Last but not least, the symptom that really struck a chord in my heart was insomnia or bad sleep quality. I cannot switch my mind off of work. I think about work up until the moment where I go to sleep, and I think about it the minute I wake up. And I know it's bad. I realize that, but in my head, I always justified it with, I'm just very productive. I work a lot. I will reach heights and so on and so forth. But by reading this, and knowing how I feel and reflecting on it, it kind of raises a question, to what end, you know? Is it worth it to reach everything you want to reach but be emotionally drained? Obviously, the answer is no. There are several things that I started to incorporate in my life to manage stress, to prevent a burnout, and I want to share those things today with you. You know, the first thing might seem a little bit too obvious, but it is true. To avoid burnout, you first and foremost have to actually love what you're doing. You have to be passionate about your job and the work that you do. In my opinion, you will most definitely, if not hit a wall, if not burn out, but become unhappy very fast if you do work that doesn't fulfill you. Obviously, we've all had situations in our lives where we had to do some kind of a filler job or something that wasn't our dream job because, hey, we all need money. But down the road, ultimately, you want to be striving towards doing something that has a purpose to you. To me, it is creating content, it is sharing my thoughts, it is creating pictures, creating videos. And if you haven't found that thing yet in your life, that's okay. What matters is that you kind of follow your heart, you know, you follow that instinct and you follow that path that kind of tells you what you enjoy. You have to learn, in my opinion, how to prioritize the time you have with yourself. If you don't learn to do that, a burnout is a very high possibility in your life. And just to be clear, when I say these statements where I'm like, you have to, you this, I'm very strictly actually speaking to myself. I'm like saying this to like, you have to. So I hope anyone who watches my videos don't take it as like me scolding someone. This is really just coming from my experience, what I've learned. The reason why I chose this spot to film is because actually I often do this when I want to kind of reflect on things and just be by myself. I love to sit by the window and look outside and write something. I also love to light a candle. I love to watch a movie or go for a walk. It really can be anything, but I'm still learning. Trust me, I've talked about this, I think, so much, like in my Instagram posts, in my videos, and I'm still learning that scheduling me time is important. It is crucial. It is as important as scheduling a task. It is something that I have to do to function properly and efficiently and productively. Just because I schedule that me time and I'm sitting and writing something in my notebook, but my mind is still on the task, that's not relaxing. So it's important to find something that makes you switch off your brain. Meditation is also something that helps me a lot, and recently I've found that there are many forms of meditation. It can be literally anything that helps you stay present and enjoy the current moment. To avoid a possible burnout, schedule as frequently as you realize that you need to quality, relaxing me time. When I was talking about the signs and symptoms of a burnout, I mentioned how I often experienced neck pain and headaches, and I said that I would go back to it. Well, I'm going back to it now. The third point is creativity, because I discovered, and this was totally random, that the only thing that helped the tension in my neck and my headache is dancing. Honestly, I was kind of shook because, as I said, no medicine helped, nothing helped. I was stressed. I was completely in a different space. And I was talking with Gus about this, and he said, and he kept repeating this for several times, he said, you need to relax. You need to relax mentally and physically. You need to do something that relaxes you. And I couldn't figure out what it could be because, again, nothing helped. So one evening, I just randomly thought, okay, you know how I'm going to relax? I'm going to put on some of my favorite songs and I'm just gonna go wild. Just gonna go wild. I danced for about 20 minutes, and at the end, I realized I no longer felt tension in my neck. And here I'm talking about how strong the mental aspect of the way you feel is, not just the physical. Because I was experiencing physical discomfort and nothing physical helped. What helped was me mentally relaxing. It just so happened that dancing did that for me. I tried stretching, I tried several physical things, but none of those things relaxed me mentally the way that dancing did. So my tip for you as a way to prevent a burnout is do some kind of a creative type of form activity that makes you feel happy, that relaxes you, that energizes you, because you have no idea how much you store in your body, how much you store in your head, in your, shoulders, in your neck, everywhere. And for some people, I think it might even be singing, it might be, painting, it might be, different forms of creativity, but I just thought it would make an interesting story how nothing helped, literally nothing, except me dancing. So the third way how I avoid a possible burnout and in general kind of manage my stress a little better is meet people that lift me up. If you remember before, I mentioned how one of the possible signs and symptoms that you're heading towards a burnout is social isolation, which I realized that that's something that I do. And if you think about it, what is opposite of social isolation? Putting yourself in social situations. I am that person that gets so stuck in their work, so devoted that I feel like I don't need anybody, I don't want to meet anybody because all of those things are distractions from my work. It has nothing to do with those people personally. In fact, I love the people that I love. I cherish my friends, I cherish my family. It's just my mentality when it comes to work. I've found that it's super, super important to schedule that time where you do meet people. And especially I found that it's important to schedule that time when I feel like I don't need anybody, because that's again a sign that I'm heading towards a burnout where I'm just in the work and I forget about socializing, I forget about meeting people. And I think that in the past, I have also underestimated the power of meeting people, because when you meet people, you exchange thoughts, you exchange experiences, and it brings a new perspective to your life and to yourself, and it just, it is magical, right? Meeting people that you like is magical, obviously. Do not underestimate the power of social situations and situations where you get out of your bubble, your work bubble, and see life and see the beauty of meeting other people. Lastly, the final thing that I have incorporated in my life to just deal with stress better and avoid the horrible burnout is working on making the quality of my sleep much, much better. I still often go to bed very late, still thinking about work, and then I wake up early. So what does that mean? I don't get enough sleep, and sometimes that sleep is not even deep sleep because I haven't really switched off my mind for the night. Few things that I have started doing is, firstly, not working directly before bedtime. Secondly, I always try to take a really hot shower before I go to bed, and the reason for a really hot shower because I find that the warmth really kind of relaxes my muscles and relaxes my mind. Thirdly, I'm not always good at this, but I try to not look at my phone, not check social media at least 30 minutes before bedtime. And lastly, I started wearing an eye mask. Now, this has actually been a real life changer, mainly because I have this tendency of not being patient. And if I don't fall asleep after 10 seconds, I open my eyes, I look around, and I start to think. But this mask helps me keep my eyes closed because there's just darkness around me, think about nothing else but falling asleep. I found that having a healthy, deep quality sleep is crucial for me to feeling good the next day and making good decisions about myself, about my body. So I work on this every single day to have that good quality of sleep. Now I go to you. What are some effective ways that you have found in your life that help you cope with stress, that make you happy, that make you remember who you are? Make sure to write those things down in the comments section. I would love to know. Also, if you enjoyed this video, press that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram. I share a lot of my daily thoughts and activities there, as well as the occasional artsy photo. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.